Hi, I'm Allison Davis, and I chose the book 1984 by George Orwell.
Hi, I'm Ian Lanzillotti. I'm going to read from George Orwell's 1984, and this book has been banned for its apparent pro-communist message and for sexually explicit content. I'm not sure how it could be read as having a pro-communist message, but that's apparently one of the reasons.
I'm back upstairs.
There you go. Sorry.
I'll go back upstairs.
It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, his chin nestled into his breast in an effort to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through the glass doors of Victory Mansions, though not quickly enough to prevent a swirl of gritty dust from entering along with him. The hallway smelt of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At one end of it, a colored poster, too large for indoor display, had been tacked to the wall. It depicted simply an enormous face, more than a meter wide, the face of a man about 45 with a heavy black mustache and a ruggedly handsome features. Winston made for the stairs. It was no use trying the lift. Even at the best of times, it was seldom working, and at present the electric current was cut off during daylight hours. It was part of the economy drive in preparation for Hate Week. The flat was 7 flights up, and Winston, who was 39 and had a varicose ulcer above his right ankle, went slowly, resting several times on the way. On each landing, opposite up the lift shaft, the poster with the enormous face gazed from the wall. It was one of those pictures which are so contrived that the eyes follow you about when you move. Big Brother is watching you, the caption beneath it read.
The birds sang, the proles sang, the party did not sing. All around the world, in London and New York, in Africa and Brazil, and in the mysterious forbidden lands beyond the frontiers, in the streets of Paris and Berlin, in the villages of the endless Russian plain, in the bazaars of China and Japan, everywhere stood the same solid, unconquerable figure, made monstrous by work and childbearing, toiling from birth to death and still singing. Out of those mighty loins, a race of conscious beings must one day come. You were the dead. Theirs was the future. But you could share in that future if you kept alive the mind as they kept alive the body, and passed on the secret doctrine that 2 + 2 makes 4. We are the dead, he said. We are the dead, echoed Julia dutifully. You are the dead, said an iron voice behind them. They sprang apart. Winston's entrails seemed to have turned into ice. He could see the white all around the irises of Julia's eyes. Her face had turned a milky yellow. The smear of rouge that was still on each cheekbone stood out sharply, almost as though unconnected with the skin beneath. You are the dead, repeated the iron voice. It was behind the picture, breathed Julia. It was behind the picture, said the voice. Remain exactly where you are. Make no movement until you are ordered. I chose George Orwell's 1984 because when I was, I think I read this at first when I was 13 years old, and it made me want to understand the actual experiences of totalitarian societies that are described in this kind of dystopian novel. I wanted to understand the extent to which the dystopia matched any reality, for example, in the Soviet Union. And so I went into Russian history and Soviet history for that reason. I ended up ultimately getting a PhD in it. So it's what inspired me to study the history of the Soviet Union and try to understand the lived experience of Soviet communism.